One of the biggest threats to the development of the creative economy in Nigeria is piracy. From films and music to literature, piracy continues to destroy efforts being made to produce, market, sell, and promote creative and intellectual works in the country. Recently, the United States Mission in Nigeria organized an event in an attempt to find a solution to the piracy challenge. Here's a report on it.
Our major role is to protect.
Players in the creative industry, including the literary sector, gathered in Lagos to discuss the all-important issue of piracy at the recently organized Creative Industry Anti-Piracy and Enforcement Dialogue, initiated and hosted by the United States Mission in Nigeria.
Only for copyright violations that are on a commercial scale. And I think that's what you would be concerned about. And it makes sense, because only then would there be enough sufficient public harm for criminal enforcement. So with that, I appreciate your presence, and I look forward to the dialogue that we are going to have today to learn more about your industry, the threats facing your industry, the enforcement challenges that you see in your industry, and ways that we could work together with law enforcement to build capacity to better enforce those rights.
It was an opportunity to articulate areas of sectoral needs and engage together to address the impact of piracy and the enforcement of copyright, particularly in the digital environment. The first session of the dialogue focused on the literary sector.
Revision of industry practices to ensure better use and respect for copyright. Customs and border measures necessary to check illicit imports of infringing works. Need to further regulate the production and distribution of books to curb piracy and other illicit practices, because we believe you can't do it all alone.
In terms of fighting piracy, we need to fight it by giving more legal options. We at Okada Books believe that digital is the solution, but every time we go to foreign publishers and say we want to bring books in Nigeria, once you mention Nigeria, the phone just goes dead, or they stop emailing you because they are afraid of piracy. And I keep telling the people I talk to that piracy will always thrive because we don't have enough legal options to buy the book.
The discussions explored piracy-related issues close to the hearts of publishers, writers, booksellers, and other stakeholders in the book industry.
Because the NCC bill is at a different pace from the other industry property bill. I think the NCC bill, well, they will speak for that, but the copyright bill, I think, is it's moving forward. We don't know how far it's gone now, So, so I think, but if we can achieve some traction in the area of books and copyright, that would be wonderful. And I'm happy that the anti-counterfeiting now are willing to also adopt the creative sector as part of those, the area that really needs that support and the push, so that we can arrest the issues before us.
In terms of the authors, the publishers, and even the digital space, what I see is we need to do a lot of collaboration in getting things out. We currently run a digital library too, but it's not Nigerian based. We had to get a franchise from Canada so that the children could have access. One of the major issues we're having now is publicity.
Piracy, like we know, is one of the greatest challenges of creativity. Nobody wants to create a work and at the end of the day, somebody else benefits economically and he does not. So if that is the case, if piracy continues, people will be discouraged from creating works. We are well aware of this, and we have been trying in our own way to try and bring down piracy to its barest minimum. However, it appears as if this piracy is like the devil with 9 lives.
I can give you 2 examples of people I know one-on-one who have been victims. One is my chairman, who isn't here today. His book was approved by the Lagos State government for the exam class, JS3 class. And in JS3 in Lagos, you have close to 1 million students writing exam in that year. When his book was approved, he had to borrow money because he's a self-published author. He borrowed money and was able to print just 10,000 copies. He couldn't sell up to 3,000 copies. Before he got to the market, the pirates had flooded it. And through self-effort, he was able to get the number of books that the pirates were able to sell, over close to 500,000 copies. And he couldn't sell 10,000 copies.
It was obvious there was a need to collaborate more to tackle the piracy problem in the country and thereby unleashing the economic potential of the book chain in Nigeria.
It's a kind of initiative from the IP enforcement unit of American Embassy. It's obvious. If we are saying we are not having any problem, that shows we are just trying to be economical with the truth. And for this kind of initiative from their part, calling all the stakeholders together, rub minds together, solve the problems together, we believe it's going to take us to another level. Because we are experiencing a kind of mistrust among the players. So, and this kind of meeting, we address some of the problems.
Well, for me, I believe this is the first of the several meetings that would happen. Or at least the fact that this meeting is being talked about, this conversation is really being pulled out right now, is a great beginning. So you have different stakeholders who impact on the issues around piracy, which is a critical issue because, you see, we always think as Nigerians that when we talk about piracy, it's about the people out there. It doesn't impact us. But more and more we're beginning to see that issues around piracy is impacting, even our economy. So we are looking at, ease of doing business, how can we improve, our business environment and all that. And if we're unable to tackle issues that impact on people's creativity, that impacts on intellectual property, we have not even started. So this is a first step of a great beginning. And I believe that collaborative work, partnerships, with various stakeholders, very critical to move forward.
After now, our program really is to provide technical assistance, to provide capacity building although it's mainly for the law enforcement agencies, but we know that the law enforcement agencies can do enforcement except, they get a feel from the private sector, and so now that we by ourselves have come out to identify the industry, we will then be able to tailor our courses or our programs, to be able to address the needs for the public sector in addressing digital piracy and cybercrime.
From the literary sector to the music and film sectors, the organised dialogue event, at the very least, is succeeding at helping players in the sectors form alliances to tackling the piracy problem.
Good attempt by the U.S. mission there. Hopefully, we'll start seeing collaborations within Nigeria's creative industry to tackle the piracy problem. As you might have known by now, Season 3 of our national essay competition for senior secondary school students is ongoing. If you know any senior secondary school student who is not taking part in this, please encourage them to get on board. All the information they need can be found at www.channelstv.com/book club. There's still a bit of time, but now is when to hurry up. It's open till 15th of September. It's simple, really. Get this book, read it, write an essay to review it, and submit it to us. In collaboration with the Sharjah Book Authority and the Sharjah Publishing City, we'll be taking the best 3 participants to the 2018 Sharjah Book Fair in Sharjah, UAE. You shouldn't miss that. Finally, we are set to get our authors event up and rolling. It's the Meet the Authors Forum. Chukwu Shashore, author of A Platter of Gold, The Making of Nigeria. Dele Ogun, author of A Fatherless People, The Secret Story of How the Nigerians Missed the Road to the Promised Land. And Akintunde Akekumi, author of Hubris, A Brief Political History of the Nigerian Army. 3 brilliant authors, 3 fascinating books, 60 invited guests, and 1 venue. Waves Lounge at Lekki Leisure Lake is supporting us to make this happen. For all those who want to be there and have not gotten an invitation, please cheer up and look out for the next episode of this show to catch highlights. This is where we have to stop today. As always, we look forward to your feedback through our social media platforms on your screen. I'm Olakunle Kasumo. Remember, one great book can change your life. Bye-bye.